On this week's weekly video fishing forecast, we do have the results for the WICC Bluefish Tournament, a preview of the big September glossy issue. We have all the details of that big fluke that was caught off the beach last week in Fire Island. We check in with Rich von Ohlen for the holiday weekend weather, and our correspondents check in from around the area. And stick around at the end. We'll show you how to open up clams and oysters, all here at thefisherman.com.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
Today's Thursday, August 31st, 2023, and sadly, the unofficial last weekend of summer is upon us. But with that, you might be enjoying some shellfish this weekend for the holiday. Stick around until after the reports for a quick clam and oyster opening demo from the Seafood Festival a couple weeks back. On the bright side, the fall run is just around the corner with some excellent fishing. We start off this week with some results from the WICC Bluefish Tournament. Ben Sheen was top of the leaderboard with a 20.18 gator caught near the race. As with many big money tournaments, there is a vetting period before the results are finalized. Kyle Cross, who already is on the leaderboard for weak fish for the Dreamboat Challenge, looks like he will have an entry for the 12.12 pound chopper he also caught during the tournament. Speaking of which, let's get an update on the Dreamboat from Tim C. Smith.
Big changes came this week with just 3 fish hitting the board. The first was a 2.5 pound porgy weighed in by Michael Rosenberg of Comac, New York, landing him in 4th place for the category. Next, we had Amagansett, New York, Sam Doherty, who upgraded his 5th place fluke with a 11.92 pounder that was good enough for 3rd place. Lastly, we have the 2023 Dreamboat's first angler to place in all 4 categories simultaneously. That's Kyle Kraus of Cutchogue, New York, who entered a 15.12 pound bluefish, landing him in 5th place for the gator category and knocking out Luke Ciccarelli off the leaderboard, taking the 3rd place overall. The top 3 looks like this. Bob Cifarelli is still sitting pretty in 1st place with 24 points. Eddie Terrabil holds steady in 2nd place with 18 points. And Kyle Kraus is our new 3rd place angler with 16 points. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a 21-foot Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action.
September Glossy Edition is out now. Angelo Peluso has a great read on targeting fall albies in the Sound. Staff has their take on the Striper Coast fishery. And for you tuna guys out there, check out Captain John Raguso's Jig and Pop article. New Jersey, Delaware managing editor Jim Hutchinson has the bombshell striper findings. And I'll tell you what the Prepared Surf Angler has on their surf belt as well. All this and more in the September issue of the Fisherman magazine. All this is a good reason to be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. You are automatically entered into our Dreamboat contest for your chance to win a center console from Steigercraft powered by Yamaha. Only $30 gets you the 12 glossy print issues and all digital issues sent to your inbox. It is one of the best deals going out there. You may have heard about that once-in-a-lifetime fluke caught from the surf. That's right, last week by Kurt Lawrence that weighed in at 16.8 pounds at Saltwater's Bait and Tackle. Fish taped out at 33.5 inches. Met up with Kurt at Saltwater's in West Islip, and I got all the details on the catch from his perspective.
I've been fishing off a boat when I was younger, obviously, and then the last 10 years, maybe more, just fishing the beach pretty heavy. And I really don't target fluke too much. In the summer I will, Usually bucktailing, I'm just casting out up current, letting it sink all the way to the bottom, and it's slow and low, not huge jigs, it's more of a drop I do when I bucktail, and let it swing with the current. I got it on a 10-foot ODM Evolution, built by Matt at Eastern Rod Works over there. So I just had a 30-pound Power Pro to a Spro swivel with a 40-pound leader, and then a TA clip to a Andrus bucktail with a I think it's a 5.5-inch otter tail, the white split, white on white. And that was it, man. That's my regular go-to bucktail all the time. Initially, some big head shakes. Really didn't think it was a fluke. Never felt anything close to that for a fluke, you know. And I thought it was a slot, maybe top slot bass. And I really didn't know it was a fluke until it hit the beach. Didn't fight like a fluke. The rest of the fight was 2 good runs and then not a lot of head shakes in there, so I didn't think. And then it came up, did a big splash on the surface, and once I realized that it was a fluke, I started panicking. And then got it to the beach. My buddy Frank ran down, grabbed it. Glad it didn't spit it. I thought for sure that it was gone once I saw it. So I had a thought of releasing it just because it was such a monster fish that, you know, but I did end up filleting it. Hopefully I'll get it mounted or, you know, a replica or whatever. I did save the jaw, boiled the jaw, so maybe I'll just mount that up, you know, still going through it, so.
Now let's get to the upcoming events. Saturday, September 9th is the Capt Dockside Family Fishing Festival. On Sunday, September 10th, the town of Oyster Bay has their waterfront festival at Tobay Beach Marina. On September the 16th, the Women's Fishing Expo will be held at Connecticut River State Park Preserve. And just a heads up, put Thursday, September 21st on your calendar. The Fisherman magazine is holding their 2023 fishing show and seminar once again at the Long Island Hilton in Melville. For all the details on these events, visit thefisherman.com/events. Marine Mate of Lindenhurst and Starbright are giving away up to $1,000. Yeah, that's right, $1,000 in free fuel. All you need to do is purchase any Starbright product. Every item you purchase gets you into the weekly drawing. Last chance to win is September 30th, so visit Marine Mate in Lindenhurst now for your chance to win. Now we're going to go over to the map for my reports for the East End. Aside from some tough conditions and a decent groundswell, the days that were fishable produced well again for that end of the island. Fluke to about 10 pounds south of the point. Sea bass to 4 pounds were caught on the rocky bottom. And there was no shortage of jumbo porgies either. The offshore bite is staying healthy south of the point and the windmills. A good showing of bonito also made the way into Montauk as well along the south side, hitting small tins and epoxy jigs. Along the south shore, stripers are beginning to show up in areas on the south side of the Bay Flats, chasing peanut bunker and small mullets, while fluke fishing remains red hot. But there are also tons of short fish in the mix. That's in the Mauritius and Fire Island area. A few keepers if you put your time in. Speaking of Fire Island area, Maximus Albanese with his nephew Benjamin Albanese landed this 6-pounder in the inlet area using live peanut bunker. One of those baits you definitely want to take advantage of this time of the year. Blowfish in Mauritius Bay have gotten larger and are stealing every bait just about put down. Near the inlet rocks of Mauritius, triggerfish action has been hot with clam bellies producing well. The offshore scene is still producing yellowfins about 25 miles out and should be good after the inlet settles back down and boats can get out of it. Snappers and crabs are all over the local docks, anywhere from Bellport to Islip, and even this dock right here actually. Weak fish have been picked up on the north side of the bay off Sayville, hitting sandworms and smaller soft plastics jigged off the bottom too. West of that, the local reefs at Hempstead, McAllister, and the Atlantic Beach have held good numbers of fluke and a good number of keepers too. Local bays have some still, but they're prepping for their fall migration right now, but it could spark a very promising bite soon with the amount of bait in them. To the west, the Fisherman buoy was a top spot. Keepers to 6 and 7 pound class were in all those areas. Porgy fishing is very good at the reefs, and sea bass are biting well, but there's a low keeper ratio on the sea bass. Bluefish are going crazy in the bays and are slamming small light tins in the shallow waters anywhere from Massapequa all the way out to Jamaica. Along the north shore of the island, snappers have reached just about eating size. They're providing a lot of fun, especially in the early morning hours among many of the docks inside the harbors and bays. There's also a lot of small porgies, medium-sized porgies as well inside those harbors and bays, particularly Huntington and Glen Cove Harbor. You could always hop on one of the head boats from City Island to Greenport. People fishing from their own boat are finding good striped bass action inside Manhasset Bay, as well as the middle ground. Trolling mojos and dropping down diamond jigs have been best during the daylight, while bunker chunks and live eels are doing best after dark. Bluefish remains an excellent choice in most of the bays and harbors as well. And outside on the Sound, I got a good report from from Cal Harbor Bait and Tackle. There's a lot of big blues inside of Northport and Centerport Harbor hitting poppers in the early mornings. As usual, porgies remains the week's best bet from most of the rocky beaches out to about 60 feet of water. Fluke fishing is a little spotty on the North Shore, but those anglers putting in long hours are rewarded with some limits up to 8 pounds, especially from the western portion of the Sound. Sea bass fishing remains excellent for the Orient charter boats with an abundance of large scup in the mix. Hey Rich, what are we looking at for the holiday weekend weather?
Hey, thanks, Matt. We'll check that weekend forecast shortly. First of all, just a quick fishing report. I've been fishing the southwest corner of Nassau County and Reynolds Channel the last couple of weeks. Plenty of bluefish, so much bait, peanut bunker, and spearing. You can see the bluefish under the birds. Good stuff on diamond jigs, popping plugs, a lot of cocktail blues, mostly about 3 to 5 pounds. So that's the big report there. If you want some action, looks pretty good. Okay, weather forecast. You can always check your favorite apps, weather tools, weather sites for the upcoming Labor Day weekend. Overall, looks pretty good. Water temps mostly in the 70s. Came up a little bit over the last few days. Wave height, Saturday is going to be the pick of the weekend if you want to go in the ocean. Go offshore beyond 20 miles, looks okay. A light westerly breeze. But watch out, Saturday night going into Sunday. Start to get more of a southwesterly in there. Gets a little bit lumpier, starts to bump up a bit. I think the waves will start to come up a little more of a 2 to 3, going maybe 3 to 4 by Sunday afternoon. See, the winds are not bad. Saturday, light westerly breeze looks good. You know, most areas should be nice. And then a little kick up there Sunday morning and a little lumpy in the ocean. So I think Saturday, if you do some ocean stuff, pick of the weekend. Got that high pressure area, some nice dry, not much of a gradient, but a little more of a southwest starts to kick in there for Sunday. That could be the lumpier day in the ocean. But temps nice. You know, Saturday looks good, mostly some 70s. Start to bump up to some 80s here going into Sunday, and Labor Day Monday, looking ahead, also looks pretty good. I think it'll be all right there. Trick Check of the Guru looks good. Light breeze for Saturday, most of the day until late afternoon and evening. So get back to port at night, starts to kick up 15 to 25. That'll make things a little lumpy on Sunday in the ocean. The Sound should be good. The East End, a little lumpy there with some of the, the waves coming in from the southwest. But overall weekend looks good. You know, Saturday, Monday, my picks. Enjoy. Be safe as always. Have a great holiday weekend. Catch 'em up. Matt, back to you.
Now we're going to check in with Captain Timothy O'Rourke from the end of the island. Tim.
Well, greetings everybody from Montauk. Another good week out here. Fishing's still kicking in pretty good. So striped bass fishing's a little bit further to the east. Guys are mostly getting a good solid pick of quality bass out towards Block Island and whatnot. Big giant bluefish still here, just like I showed you last week. We're still waiting on the false albacore as far as fly fishing and light tackle goes. That's going to be the good hot ticket here soon. The offshore report has been very good. Fish are still pretty close. I've got a couple nice pictures from Dan on the Double D. Those guys were yellowfin fishing, and they did really well. Kenny Hadachek on the My Joyce, he also did well. A couple mix of bluefin and yellowfin. So again, tuna are still relatively close. Not sure what's going to happen after the big swell and these 2 hurricanes pass to our south. But that's currently going on right now. So hopefully things lay down for the weekend and you can get back out and try picking away at some good fish. Weather's looking great for the weekend, last big weekend of the year, so get out and catch some fish. Again, I mentioned last week my Sage Fly Rod Demo Day, which is called Castoberfest, will be at Montauk Lake Club, October 8th. It's on the lawn, beautiful spot. We have barbecue, beer from Montauk Brewing, and a bunch of raffles. And we're expanding this year. We got Jones Brothers Boats involved, a bunch more rod manufacturers, Douglas and Rise rods. They also offer conventional rods. So any of you surf casters might want to come out and check this out. It's going to be a good event. Again, October 8th. It's a Sunday, Columbus weekend. Hopefully we see you out there. All right, everybody, catch them up.
From Shinnecock on the South Shore, let's check in with Mike Dean.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, everyone. Still in that summer doldrum pattern. A couple of small bass back in the bay in the marshy areas, outgoing tide, pulling those small baits out, and any kind of surface bug is kind of working there. There have been a couple of bigger fish closer to the inlets, both in the inlet and right at the mouth to the bay of it. Out front really hasn't been anything, even on the bunker pods before people were able to get out in the ocean before this swell has come through. So hopefully on the other side of it, might start to see some fish with temperatures coming down. Still some bluefish in the inlets as well. Fluke fishing in the bay has been pretty good. West of Ponquag Bridge through Shinnecock and into Moriches has been fairly solid. There have been to the kind of like western end of Shinnecock Bay have been some pretty good fluke fishing, and that kind of like fizzled out a little bit the last like week or so. Bluefin bite has been really good, as close as 15 miles off from, all the way from Fire Island out to Montauk. Chris Colson Jr. got this 70-inch bluefin the other day, a little further out than 15 miles. Great job on that one, Chris. Congrats on a real beauty of a fish there. I've been fishing with my son. There's tons of snappers around, in the bays. Pretty much any dock in the bay, you throw a snapper popper and you're going to get one. And we fish the Shinnecock Canal and lots of blowfish and snappers, porgies, like everything, which is kind of fun, for like end of summer before it gets real serious with the fall run, which I really can't wait for. On a side note, when I opened up Facebook today, I looked at my memories. 5 years ago today was my first report for the Fisherman on here. So I want to thank everyone for following along, listening, and watching all the reports. It's been awesome to meet so many new people over the years, and looking forward to another 5 years and beyond of doing these reports. So thanks very much for that, and I'll talk to you next week. Back to you, Matt.
From the Fire Island area in Great South Bay, let's check in with Captain Lorenzetti.
Hey, Matt. Fire Island report. Let's see. Weather for the weekend coming up looks pretty decent. A lot of big fluke around, as you know, some real whoppers being caught. And so the fluke season now is going to run till October 4th. So that's really good. A lot of times we got cut short before the real migration took place, and they really were ganging up by the inlet. So this year we're going to have a good opportunity to catch some real nice fish. Snappers are all over down by the docks. I mean, the kids are having a ball. This is the time of year for that. And weak fish reports, just starting to get weak fish reports now. So this coming month should be excellent, catching some of the biggest ones. When they start to migrate, they feed like crazy. So I'm looking forward to catching some of those double-digit weak fish coming up, and striped bass as well. So looks like a decent weekend, Matt. Fishing's pretty good, actually better than pretty good. And enjoy the holiday weekend. Happy Labor Day to everybody, and talk to you next week.
With our fly and freshwater report, we have Paul McCain from Everybody Outfitters.
Hello, Matt. Well, it was a pretty exciting week for me, and a sad week. My wife and I had to take my daughter back to school, so she's gone for a few months. But we decided to make it a little bit of a honeymoon, second honeymoon. We went to Niagara Falls. I was looking at the water, seeing if I could find fish. On the way home, we went through the Catskills, areas I've never been to, and boy, there is so many opportunities at the Catskills. And the water level seemed to be pretty good, a little warm, but pretty good. As far as fishing, my son called me and said, "Hey, Dad, let's go fish the Croton system," which is only an hour and 15 minutes from my house. A lot of opportunities there. He checked them. I used a hopper dropper fly rig. We both had trout, a lot of bluegills. It was a great day. It was good to get out with my son and do a little bit of fishing. We don't get that often, even though he guides with me a lot of times. As far as today, I'm at beautiful Connecticut. I'm doing a casting and guiding today. I'll let you know. I will send you photographs to post it if you are interested. Saltwater, it's still the same. Bluefish are mostly dominating the scene, but there are fluke around from the shore. So I'm going to be going out tomorrow night. Hopefully we're going to have some more fish photographs for you. And so to next week, Tie lines, everybody.
Let's check in with Chris Landry.
Thanks, Matt. It's been another incredible week fishing. There's been a bonito bonanza off Breezy Point. I went out this week and 3 different times I found incredible bonito blitzes, sometimes 40 of them jumping out of the water at the same time and smacking your lure as it hits the water. It's been incredible. In the back of the bay, it's definitely a bluefish takeover. We got on bluefish in 3 feet of water using spooks, which is a lot of fun. And the tuna frenzy is still happening. Went offshore this week with rockfish charters and got a couple more yellowfin tuna, big ones, about 75 pounds, using a 200-gram jig, getting it down quickly. Most people are using 120-gram jigs. I like to get down a little faster. And covering the assist hook with a squid skirt. It's all in the details, I believe. I'm not a professional tuna fisherman or an expert in any means, but these are some of my observations. And this time I was using 50-pound line, so you don't need to use very strong line even with these big, strong 75-pound fish. There's a lot of southern species by Ambrose Channel. We also got on a blue runner on some jacks, and I had today a bluefish spit up a moonfish. So there are moonfish off of Breezy Point. So there are a lot of southern species in our water, so it's super exciting. So get out while you can. Stay tight, be safe, thank you, and back to you, Matt.
Let's check in with Max Finch from the Connecticut side of the Western Sound.
On these full moon tides, we see some really good diamond jig and bite going on at 11B and 28. 11B's definitely had the best diamond jig and bite on the outgoing. We've seen a lot of big bluefish, and we weighed in a lot of bluefish for the past tournament. It was really fun. It was a really good time, and we have some great fishing going on. There's a lot of those bluefish from that 8 to 12 pound range, and that's always fun on diamond jigs. They're holding from like 60 to 100 feet on the tip of 11B. And on these big moon tides, they're coming in at night and feeding on all these peanut bunker and bunker in our harbor. So we've seen guys doing well chunking our harbor, chunking shallow around the islands, throwing poppers, spooks. And also, we've seen some bass starting to get active too. They're starting to find these peanut bunker up in these back bays, these estuaries. In the early morning and sunset hours, they've been blitzing on them. So this is a great time of year. It's shaping up to look like a good fall. The fluking remains steady. It's not great. It hasn't been fantastic all year, but you really got to grind. So we got a lot of small bait now and, shallow and deep. So you definitely got to bounce around a little. Places like 26, 24, 11B, the OB buoy, and 28C. Squid, spearing, snappers this time of year, drifting them live is really good to find a good keeper fluke. And then squid and bucktails, obviously. The sea bass bite remains consistent on our deep water wrecks and our deeper water structure. We should see these fish move shallow as our waters start to cool towards blackfish season. But right now, if you want to get your black sea bass limit, locally I would try Celtic wreck, the wrecks outside Kakini, the wrecks south of the islands, and that 50-foot or more mark. High-low rigs with squid, spearing, clams, and they'll take a variety of jigs like diamond jigs, butterfly jigs, slow pitch jigs, you name it. The porgy bite remains strong. This time of year, we got bluefish and porgies. So porgies love the warm water. Guys are catching them from the beaches, our piers, and then on the boats, they're doing good on our shallow water reefs and our deep water reefs. Thanks and good luck.
Remember the Seafood Festival from a few weeks back? Well, we were able to link up with the good folks from Blue Island Oyster Company during the event for a quick shellfish opening tutorial.
We were down here at the Blue Island Oyster Company. They're going to give us a little tutorial on how to open up clams and oysters. And actually, Jetsam Salvage Company was nice enough to offer their clam knife to open up the clams with. So we're going to hand this over to these guys.
Nice way to grab it firm. Here, grab it on the side. Grab. Make sure you give it a nice clean cut on the shell and the bottom. You don't split the meat. There you go. How's that? Excellent. Very fast. Get a good grip on the oyster. Make sure it's like putting the key on your house lock. Just make sure it's locked in.
Fine. No, it's very smooth. Like a prop? 9 to 12. Right there. Check these guys out. Okay, cheers.
Can't believe September is actually here. Summer of 23 literally did fly by, but some of the best fishing of the year is still ahead of us. Enjoy the long weekend, and I hope you get out there and do plenty of fishing these next few days. We will see you next Thursday once again, right here on the Fisherman Magazine's weekly video fishing forecast.